Welcome to the second ever Oaks times LYB. We got Burr Oaks 77. Got myself going again on a Thursday. Nice little Tuesday to start things off this week, right, dude? 6-2 for the squad. We'll call it 5-2 because I rode along with the NRFI that we took there that we found on the stream. But what's good with you today, man?
Oh shit! Had a decent little day over in Euros. Got Austria money line home. Didn't get the goals I was looking for in Netherlands versus France. One second.
Yeah, I mean, there were no goals, so it's hard to get goals in that one.
Yeah, but I did well on the player props. So Frimpong didn't start the first game. He came on and started here in the second game, and he's mad dangerous. So I took him for 2 shots, full game. He got both of them in the first half. I told guys if they wanted to play him in the first half, they could. I was really hoping he'd get one more for a plus 500, but then I also got Rangers to take a shot in the first half at plus 110. Virgil van Dijk is who I ended up using my FanDuel boost on to get him just to take a shot at plus 137, which was nice. And then Harsland for a shot on target from Slovenia? I don't know. One of them Slovak nations who I've already forgot which one played because I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, it was kind of a wash of a day. It wasn't a bad day. It was it started out fine. I was really excited to see Ukraine come back and win. Just because I do like a lot of the guys on that team. I think they have a lot of talent, and bouncing back after that Romania loss was solid. And then we got Copa America starting up here. I'm going to jump off this and then go straight into a Copa America stream. So I got 5 streams today.
Hell yeah. Let's keep. We'll probably try to keep this one a little bit closer to an hour. It went for a little bit more than 90 minutes last time, but I'm in the same boat. I got to jump into the W as well. And we'll, give myself a little love right now because we're up 10.5 units on a 27-16 record there in the W. So similarly, having a little bit of success with my other endeavors right now in the summer. I'm not even going to get into Euros. I don't have the capacity to talk about it as a Belgium fan. Like I'm not there with it because I'm just about to watch more stuff set on fire. I can't see any other way around it, but. And then they'll probably get to play either Netherlands or France in the round of 16 if they even make it through. So I'm not even getting into that right now. Copa, a little decent start anyway with Argentina 2-0, but they probably should have had about 4 goals in that one. But we'll keep it to. It
was a great job for Canada. Jesse Marsh's first official match. The Canadian keeper was standing on his head. Messi's a piece of shit. I told you guys. I told everybody I hate Messi. You guys can glaze him all you want, but I have no respect for the guy.
Damn. I'm not going to go further in that with you because we're not with the dude wearing the Real hat right now. I can't even get into it with you right now with baseball on the line. So let's kick things off, man. We went 6-2 to kick things off on the show Tuesday. So feeling pretty good about baseball right now. What you're going to find is probably a lot more Ks, outs, pitcher props. I got some a money line play and a couple leans. We each got a couple picks. So we can get right into it. You want to kick things off with a guy I was looking at. He was on my leans. So we had some similar crossover here because I had Flaherty and a lean against I'm not going to talk too much trash on your White Sox right now, but golly, are they a tire fire.
No, they're a national embarrassment. So right in my notes, it's actually the first thing I put here. It says the White Sox are a national embarrassment. So go ahead and crap on the Sox all you want. They're terrible.
They're bad.
I'm surprised they're still a major league team, to be honest with you. This line got absolutely smoked, and I kind of knew it would. And that's why we jumped on it early. Jack Flaherty is a guy I put in my calendar to look at every 5 days when he pitches because this dude is a fucking stud. Him and Skubal are easily Cy Young candidates, and they're both on Detroit, and they both pitch lights out. And Flaherty is finally getting a game back home where he's had a ton of success this year after 2, I don't want to say, they weren't even bad road starts. Detroit's bats just got insanely hot, and they ended up pulling him after 5 innings worth of work. So, look, they were up 11-0 on Houston when they pulled him out of that game. And he was dealing super, super gas. So he only got 15 outs. They're up 11-0. And as you can see down here, when we scroll, he only threw 73 pitches. Again, they were playing Texas. He only threw 60 pitches. So this man's arm is super well rested. He's coming back home where he's a better pitcher. And as you can see, in 2024, he has not failed to clear this line on his Cy Young run. And that's why we jumped on his over 17.5 outs this morning when it was minus 125 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Chicago White Sox are a national embarrassment. Chicago White Sox away. They don't walk, 7.1% based on ball rating. That's tied for 5th worst in the MLB. Overall, based on ball rating, season long, home and away is 7.2, or the 3rd worst in the MLB. Chicago White Sox have an OBP of 0.28 away this season, and that is 2nd worst in the MLB. Oof. Chicago White Sox have an overall OBP of 0.281 this season, or the worst in the entire MLB. God damn, do they suck. It doesn't get any better if you look over the last 30 days. As I mentioned, Flaherty has cleared this line in 5 out of 5 home starts. Flaherty cleared this line in 10 out of 13 starts this season. Flaherty has missed in back-to-back games, but has been pitching well with big leads. He only threw 60 pitches versus Texas and 73 pitches versus Houston. As I mentioned, in Detroit, the only back-off thing here is that might give you some hesitation is Detroit's pen is really well rested. So there is a bit of a concern if this game gets out of hand with Detroit scoring a ton of runs. As we mentioned the last stream, this is a divisional game. Divisional games mean more. These are worth 2 wins. So go ahead and get them under your belt and get them as quickly as possible. But I think Fidi will pitch well today, and he will keep this game close. Fidi's a guy I like a lot for the White Sox. Him with Crochet are kind of the only 2 players that really make this team watchable, especially since Luis Robert just quit on a fly ball, a routine pop fly the other day. Yeah, did he pinch hit for a couple of yabos? That's cool, but like, do the fucking little things right, man. You can't quit on fly balls. So my last note on this is if Flaherty gets the ball in the 6th, I expect him to finish it. So that's just where I'm at here with Flaherty. This line, like I said, is completely smoked. If you bet early with us and you're worried about this bullpen to the extent that you want out of this bet, you can hedge out and get your money back right here on Caesars at plus 133. You can even make a little bit of profit there. So if you jumped in and you're a heavy bettor and you're betting in the hundreds or thousands for your units and you jumped in at minus 125 this morning, you can buy out at plus 133 and make some money.
You guarantee yourself a little arbitrage. Yeah, I love that. That's a really good look too. And I wanted to play Flaherty K's, but then when they bumped up to 6.5, I was like, as good as the man has been, that's not necessarily the play that I would have for him.
Tommy Pham back in the lineup is a problem there.
Was he back? How long has he been back in the lineup, Mr. Pham?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. Unless one of the 2 guys I mentioned is pitching, or I have a bet against the White Sox, I'm not rushing to watch my White Sox, bro.
I can't understand that. Until Grimace came into the mound and threw the first pitch, I wasn't exactly on board with the Mets.
Oh, dude, the Mets were getting absolutely dusted there for like a month.
That's what's crazy about the Grimace shit is that it's not just that there's like 7-0 now. It's that like they were. It's a like
they were. It was the season. Yeah, I mean, every Mets fan was going through our season is completely trash. Blow up the team again. Talk. And they've been brought back from the edge. I might be able to get on Flaherty K's here. You got Luis Robert Jr. striking out almost 40%. Andrew Vaughn, who's definitely better versus lefties, but not he's still a borderline guy. Colas, I don't even know who the hell this guy is. Probably a call-up because he doesn't have statistically relevant data. Exactly. He's a borderline guy. And then Paul DeYoung, if he's not going Yabo, he's not hitting. Corey Lee, who's striking out at almost 30%. And Sosa, who, again, 25%. So that's 4 clear K targets, 2 borderline guys. I can count to 5. getting to that 6.5 though is going to be a struggle. But I do think that Luis Robert and Paul DeYoung are guys you can get twice.
Okay.
So
That's crucial.
I don't know. Let's see what the juice is on it here real quick, and then I'll kick it back to you and let you roll.
Yeah, I think it's still plus money. But take a look.
Yeah, I mean, at plus 105.
Yeah, you're close. I think if you put that through the numbers and the EV on it, you're going to get a little bit of an edge to the over, but it would still be worth like a half a unit play probably for me.
Yeah, if I could get closer to like plus 115 or plus 120, I'd probably be all over it now with this lineup out. I was I think that's why the line kind of stayed where it was at, because they were expecting Pham back in this lineup, which takes out a clear K target.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was going to go into my first bet. It was one of the ones that was talked about in the Discord, but I have a strong lean that I think I just want to start the show with, which is talking about Carlos Rodon, because Cat Lee brought it up, and I'm really intrigued by it. So I kind of wanted to know your thoughts. So I'm going to actually share what I was looking at here on Outlier and see what you think about it, because where I'm at with Carlos Rodon right now, and I'll pull him up on Outlier. And friendly reminder while we kick things off here too, that if you need a little, want to take a little risk-free trial on Outlier, you can get that with the link in the description of the video for 7 days and check it out. So here's what I'm looking at with Rodon. This was at 7.5, and I loved the under. And so this thing is all over the place, because you can look at the line movement here. You can see opens at 6.5, gets bet up to 7.5, gets bet down to 6.5, bet up to 7, or vice versa. It basically was 7, 6, 7, 6. And now we're back at 6. And that's where it sits right now. And you still get good money for under 6, because I loved under 7 for him. I mean, one, he's only done that twice this season now, where he's gotten the over 7.5 Ks. It was 8 against Milwaukee, 9 against Minnesota, which is actually pretty impressive when you consider Minnesota not striking out very often at all. But overall for him, like, I was really ready to just go under on the 7 at whatever number it was. I had minus 160 loaded up. And then literally as I'm putting it together and writing it up, it goes down to 6.5, right around like 12:15 on the West Coast out here. So nothing there, but I the 6.5, now it's plus 110. And I believe so you can get that at MGM, which I can access. I think it's a really good look. The thing that scares me about taking under on his Ks is if I'll pull up what I was looking at a minute ago on ESPN.
It's Boston. Boston is the worst strikeout team against left-handed pitching away from home in the entire MLB, aren't they?
Well, they're playing the Bravos. They're playing the Bravos.
That's right. I forget.
Yeah.
I always forget
that because Kat asked about
traded to the Braves.
The
Braves maul left-handed pitching.
Right, but and the other confusing thing was, like, we're talking about Rodon and Sale overs was the question from Cat Lee, but they're not actually playing each other. But yeah, the thing that scares me is versus the Braves. So if this is the stuff that I'm using here, I had all my stuff bookmarked,
and they rake them for power too.
They do. He's had a surprisingly amazing amount of success. And the two guys that scare me more than anyone are Adam Duvall and Marcelo Zuna, who are both going to be in the 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe, for them in the lineup today. So like 4, and then you'll see you'll see Olsen at batting cleanup, and then you're going to get like Duvall after him.
Yeah, he's been dusting Ozuna. 11 plate appearances, walked him once, struck him out 4 times.
Yeah. Crushing him. Yeah. And with the walk in there, so they credit him for 10 at bats, but 40% K rate for the dude.
And Duvall, he's sat down 5 of the 6 times he's seen him.
Precisely. So that's why I ended up shying away. The innings became not worth it. The outs for me was at 18.5. I would prefer an under. Once again, but minus 184 just ain't going to cut it for me that's what he's at for most of this so far in the season, is getting maxing out at about 18, unless he's playing the A's on a day where the day before his bullpen got rocked. And then the Stros was probably a similar situation. I didn't look as deeply into that one. And then KC, he had a really nice outing against. But I would just say the Braves do seem like they're still ready to break out a bit against lefties. That's kind of what I'm wondering. But I was going to see if you had any initial thoughts before I keep going on it.
Yeah, if you want to toss me the screen back real quick, I'll show you my big concern here. Rodon's got to work deep into this game, man. He just absolutely has to. He has to, and that's going to mean forfeiting his K bullshit. That's going to mean soft ground ball contact. That's going to be throwing sinkers. He's going to absolutely pound the bottom of this zone. And if you think that he's on point today, like he was, because I know Kat Lee likes him a lot. I'm not sure if she is a Yankees fan or not, but he completely pounded the Kansas City Royals in a very similar spot where this bullpen was just completely empty, and he had to have 21 innings. He only threw 3 Ks, or he had 21 outs. He only threw 3 Ks, but he got the job done against a very, very tough Kansas City team who can put the bat on the ball, and the weather conditions were prime for home runs that day. I just remember that game because I remember you know, the line for his outs was lower. It was like 17 and a half. So the graphs made it look very, very gettable. So that does stick out in my memory. But like, look at this, guys. Like, realistically, this Tommy, whatever the hell his last name is, your right-handed setup man is the only guy you're gonna want to go to of the guys who threw yesterday. Ferguson threw 20 pitches. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's not a lot. 27 pitches for Token and Hill. Those guys are done. They're not pitching. And do you really want to depend on 2 AAA call-ups? Probably not. So you got Weaver, a setup guy who hasn't thrown in 3 days. That's a fresh arm, and your closer Holmes. And you're not going to burn your closer unless Rodon can get you into the 7th. And even still, if he can get you into the 7th, you're going to throw Weaver out there or somebody else out there, maybe one of these guys, depending on your lead or what the game situation is, because you don't want to smoke Holmes's arm either. He just got an L hung on him in 18 pitches thrown, 17 pitches thrown, didn't get an L or a hold, so they must have been up big that day because that's just kind of how the Yankees work. But yeah, I mean, look, do I want to take Rodon over 18 and a half? No. Do I think that 133 is a doable price on that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I think Rodon is going to have to clutch up here. And even if he's getting hit around a little bit, you know,
can you go back real quick?
And you can get 172 on FanDuel. I mean, listen, look how off market this 172 is on FanDuel. Like, if you want to reach up and take the risk to get plus 172, I'm all about it. That's value.
Yeah, that might be the better way to play him. Can you go back to the Fangraphs?
Yes.
The reliever stuff. I just want to help everyone fully understand. So this is what you're looking at is the one closest to the left is yesterday's game. Is that okay? So that's the schedule right there. That's
the header is at the top of every new division. So it, like, as you scroll down, you just kind of have to remember which column is which. But yeah, every time they start a new division, they relist it.
I was reading it the wrong way where it was left to right, but it's actually the most recent game is on the far left there in the column. And yeah, that's huge because like going to like bullpen overall stats is only as helpful as knowing the last time the bullpen was used heavily. And Luke Weaver is not a guy that you're like, hey, go in there and get 3 quick outs. It's a lot more of like, hey, our starter just got pulled in the 4th. We need Luke Weaver to come in for 3 innings. You know, so and bridge that gap. So that's once again not a dude who's accustomed to being like, okay, you have 15 pitches here, go ahead and get us some outs. You know what I mean? And that's not his forte. So yeah, I ended up staying away from Rodon for the most part in terms of going unders. I'm ready for the Braves to break out a little bit on offense. I won't lie. This is a pretty good time to do it, but they're still going to be throwing a lot of righties up to bat in this game at Yankee Stadium. So yeah, and then plus you get a little bit more love from Rodon if he's coming in the top of an inning after it's like they still have a 1 or 2 run lead and he's still showing stuff. I think there's a little bit of an edge to that. Whereas if his team bats first, sometimes you'll see them get some runs in the top of the inning that then could force him out because he doesn't need to worry about coming back in. They now have a 3-run lead. We can hand this thing over to our bullpen. But I think the fact that they are at home and he'll be coming out in the top of the inning to pitch is a pretty big deal. So yeah, I'm gonna pass on Rodon just to answer that question rather than look at Sale right now. I did want to just bring up the first pick that I have here. which is Jordan Montgomery, who was also in the up next stuff that we were going to look at. But now I don't need to, because I can tell you that I'm going under for him right now. I'll just let you know that. The stuff for Jordan Montgomery that I pulled up here, a couple of things that are pretty important. Obviously, not something he's done very consistently. Is this Ks? No, this is earned runs. Thank God. I was like, what? So if we go under on the Ks here, it's minus 150, but the implied odds are at minus 150, still at about like 50, where we at? About 44% or so with at the minus 150. Still something he has not done 45% of the time. Let me put it that way, right? He's only gone over this number twice now in the 11 starts that he's had. That's really obviously what starts the drawing my eye to it, is just like, well, that's a lot of red as soon as I look at him trying to go over this number. Another really helpful number that you can get for the whole season, let me make sure I'm on the whole season here, is the strikeouts and per batters faced, right? So he's at about 3.5 Ks per 23.1 batters faced. He's only obviously facing 5.1 innings, so about the 16 batters that he's been actually being able to get out in these games, and facing a few more, obviously. But as far as the innings pitch go, still really far down there in the outs. So the K rate, per 23 and the K rate per 9 is just not there for Jordan Montgomery right now, and it really never has been. I mean, he had a little bit of success last season, but still wasn't much of a K guy. And there's just not a lot of swinging strikes. There's not a lot of stuff being chased. You can see that the 10.2 strikes swinging, 12.6 looking. Like if he was up at about maybe 12, 13 swinging strikes that he was inducing per game, then be a little bit more up there. But he's not even getting the pitch counts to really do it, where he's barely gotten to 100 pitches this season at all. Just the one time where he actually threw 101 against Cincinnati. And if you go look back at that, still a pretty low 17 string strikes was good for him in the most pitches that he's thrown. I don't know that he's going to have that long of a leash. I also think the Phillies at minus 135, even with Taijuan Walker, who doesn't really impress me, he's been a little bit better this year. Yeah, it doesn't impress me. He's been a little bit better this year, which is sad to say, because that's how freaking bad he's been in the past couple of seasons, especially. But yeah, I think Jordan Montgomery still is maybe asser, if that's the way I can put it. Like he's more
assier. He's definitely got badonkadonk. That's for sure.
Cheeks, man. It's butt cheeks. So the 6 ERA that he has, that's not good. Maybe it'd be better if maybe you could justify with the xERA, also very high, up at about 5.8. So like all the expected numbers for him, he's still in the bottom. He's in the 5th percentile when it comes to expected batting average. He's in the 14th percentile in expected ERA. So meaning 5%, that 95% of the league is better than him at throwing those at their opponent batting average. And then you've also got the expected ERA stuff. So like, even if his ERA it's just bad. Like he hasn't been getting unlucky. Let me put it that way. It's not like balls have just been hit and missed or dropped or anything like that. His batting average with balls in play is the same shit that it should be, right at about like 270, 265. So nothing like crazy high. And yeah, I have no faith in him against a Phillies team that is in the top 10 in terms of striking out, the 11th against lefty specifically, but I'm still not worried about that. So yeah, I like the lineup that they're putting out there today. And the only dude that really scares me here is Kyle Schwarber, who's had a much better swinging strike rate, or strikeout rate, I should say, on the season. So what's up?
Schwabs.
Yeah, Schwabs. Yeah, exactly. Who is actually raking once again this season. I'm not gonna lie, he's a lot better than he started out last year. So yeah, all that just leads me to go, no thank you to Jordan Montgomery. I'll take an under. He's not getting 5Ks, something he rarely ever does.
Yeah, real quick, just one thing too. When we were talking about Rodon, I forgot to do this at the top of the show, and I probably should have. Atlanta versus Yankees is one of the, like, again, this is very, very surface level. If you live in New York or you're New York local, you can probably tell me better than this website can. But it's one of the 2 games on my radar that has possible weather concerns. See you, Josh. But yeah, and Josh is driving the screen share. So whatever, I'll keep it going.
Man. Keep it going. That's on me.
That's all good. Yeah. So I did just want to mention that Atlanta Yankees is one game that pops up on the radar for weather concerns. We've seen a 39% chance of precipitation. Again, if I'm committed to betting or wanting to bet Rodon, I would just pull up the Doppler and double check. I used to do weather shit for work all the time. So like my go-to is weather.com, and I can just kind of figure it out from there just by looking at the radar. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to play the Rodon stuff, just do yourself a favor. Make sure it's not going to rain in like the 5th inning enough that they're going to throw the tarp down on the field, because that absolutely smokes any Ks or outs plays. Because as soon as the pitcher's arm cools down for about 30 minutes, they're done. They're not pitching, because they will screw their arm up for the rest of the season. And they're not trying to do that with Rodon. The other game was Washington, Colorado. But again, it's only 33%. Anything over 25% is something I just put in my notes is check back on this closer to game time.
Yeah, yeah, and that's such an awesome look when you can actually fade a pitcher, knowing that like how many innings does he have to go for you to get the start, and then you can take his unders? Is it
pitching? It's anything as long as he throws the first pitch. That bet is live.
Okay, dope. Yeah, that's such a wonderful play if you can play that. Now, look, I mean, if you're playing in Florida, you know that if it's going to start
only rain for like 8 minutes, too,
but you know it's going to come at like 3 to 4. You know what I mean? So you've got to have more of a day game in Florida, which is a little bit more rare because it's a freaking swamp. But those types of things where you can bank on like the actual rain coming, huge to take under pitcher props for sure. So if that's a case for Rodon, and you are out there in New York and you see that sky turning gray right at like 6:45 p.m. and it's going to rain maybe in the 3rd-ish inning, and might seem like it's going to rain for a minute, then yeah, you get a nice long pause and he's not coming back out, and boom, you've hit your under on Ks and innings. So keep that in mind for sure. But yeah, so I like the under on Montgomery. I passing on Rodon, although I agree with you that the play for Carlos Rodon, if you're going to take him, weather pending, obviously, is the over on the innings. If you're as hip to the fact that those the bullpen has been used so much.
Gotta have a long outing out of Rodon today.
So,
and I wouldn't be surprised to see him work his arm up towards 110. Look, he's a former Sox pitcher. I've watched the guy throw for a long time.
Big boy.
He's perfectly capable of reaching back and getting 110 pitches for you in a must go deep game.
A real David Wells type, if you will. Big old gut and a strong lefty arm. So yeah, I'm with that. But let's get into your next one.
Yeah. First off, shout out Cup of Joe. Thank you for being here. Yerrrrr. I'll give you one for the Lewis Dinger. I hope you get it, my man. Next up, I want to talk about Cutter Crawford over 5.5 Ks. I jumped on this at plus 100 over on Caesars. So before we get further into it, let's just see what his line is currently. So I know whether or not to dive into this fully. Okay, minus 104, minus 110, minus 120. I'm probably not going to play. Minus 130 for those of you with offshores. I'm probably not there. But yeah, this came down just a little bit. It's actually kind of right where it was when I was researching. So let's take a look at this lineup and see if that tells us anything here. All right, so you got Friedel. Yeah, you got Friedel leading off, who, I don't know, he doesn't have a ton of data on him. And I'm not going to lie, I don't watch the Reds enough to know their lineup top to bottom. LED La Cruz, ton of power, but strikes out 31% of the time here. Same with Candelario. He's almost at 25%.
I can tell you right now that Friedel much worse against lefties, but still strikeout prone for sure. Not my favorite leadoff guy to have for sure.
Yeah. Then you got Steele and Farley, who are playing well. India, whose bat is starting to heat up. Espinal, who's not strikeout prone at all. And then you end with Benson and Maley. So you got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to call it 4 clear strikeout targets, even though he's only 24.1%. You got 4 clear strikeout targets here. And then 2 borderline guys, but this 40% on Benson makes me think that Maley, both of these guys, one of these 2 guys I like for 2 strikeouts each. And here's the thing with Crawford. So Crawford has cleared this line in 9 of 15 starts, but he's only cleared this line in 3 of 6 away starts. And I'll pull up some of this prop.cash info and show you the graphics after I'm just done kind of reading off my bullet points. But Crawford's coming off a back-to-back really strong starts versus Philly, where he reached up and got 8 Ks, and the Yankees, who are super K adverse, or at least have been. I know they're streaky and they can kind of be prone to striking out, just depending on the pitcher some days, but they're normally pretty K adverse, and especially against righties. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. And so both are in the top third of the MLB here at not striking out versus right-handed pitching, especially Philly. Philly does much better against righties than they do against lefties. Lefties is kind of their issue. I know that the strikeout percentage isn't as high, but they're the second most strikeouts versus left-handed pitching just by numbers this season, behind only Boston. Boston on the road is absolutely terrible against lefties. But in the last 30 days, Cincinnati has a K percent of 23.3%, or 11th in the MLB. Last 30 days at home, they have a K percent of 25.5, so they're not swinging the bat as well at home. Yep. Last 30 days versus right-handed pitching, Cincinnati has a K rate of 24.9%. So again, it's jumping up more versus righties because Cincy rakes left-handed pitching. And then last 30 days at home versus righties, it jumps up to 26.5%. So you're getting a whole 3.2% difference here just over the last 30 days when they're facing righties at home versus when they're just facing anybody in the last 30 days, which is a significant jump. And the big concern here for me, again, is the well-rested pen. So Boston just had an off day, and then before that, they only needed 2 pen arms. So they have a really well-rested pen. They have a lot of guys they can go to here. And to be honest with you, the Boston pen has been better. Listen, Boston's been playing lights out recently, and that's going to come to an end here at some point because this is a 500 club. They're not good. They're not going to push for the playoffs. They're not back. And if you don't believe me, my boy Tone, I have to listen to him every time there's a Sox game on. And he's been getting ready to say they're back. He's like, I don't know. I don't want to pull the trigger, but they might be back.
They seem like it, dude. Their underlying, like, the expected stuff is a lot better.
Not in this division, though. Not in this division.
Not in that division. That's fair.
Not in this division. They're not back. If they're in any other division in the MLB, maybe back. Certainly not against Baltimore, who's just ripping the cover off the ball.
They'd be comfortably in second in the NL West. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. The dog shit NL West right now. Yeah.
So, look, I know that Crawford has had some issues away, and I'll show you his away numbers. Again, over in 3 is 6.
They're at Great American, right? Yeah.
What's up?
They're not at Fenway. They're at, Great American?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, slightly better park for pitchers. It could go either way, honestly. Still not a great park for pitchers, but it's obviously a lot bigger than Fenway.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing is people can't just yeet doubles off of the Great Green Monster and get cheap, nice hits. Like, that's what Boston's really good at doing is just slamming balls into the Green Monster for doubles. And that's why they've been winning more of their games recently. But like I said, he took 2 of the top third in the MLB K adverse teams for 8 Ks and 9 Ks his last 2 starts. He's got nasty stuff. And I know last time we came on here and talked about how Boston's doing a new weird kind of sabermetrics thing where they're encouraging their guys to throw their best pitch and it doesn't have to be a fastball. Well, Crawford's one of the few guys in their rotation that has a fastball and he has a bigger pitch arsenal. So I think things are finally kind of starting to click for him. He's getting some easier competition here. As you can see over the last 10, like he faced off against Atlanta, who bats have been kind of up and down since the Acuna injury, but they're due for positive regression. Like this team is better than what they've been performing as, and they're due to get hot here at some point. Baltimore, who I told you doesn't strike out very much and is just ripping the cover off of the ball. Milwaukee, who's bipolar, and I can't figure out, they either are striking out none or they're striking out 12 times a game. And St. Louis, who's been fairly decent, especially You know, since this, I want to say like mid part of May into June, like St. Louis's bats have definitely stopped striking out as much. And part of it's because they've been seeing more left-handed pitching, which they absolutely rake. But I do see the K targets here. Again, I did bet this early, so I didn't have official lineups, but I can easily talk myself into De La Cruz, Benson, or Maley. One of these three guys is probably going to strike out twice. I have them all as clear K targets, so that gives me 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and count Candelario, even though he's 0.9 away from being a clear K target. That gets me to 5. And now I got, you know, 2 borderline guys here and some other tough guys. But again, as you can see, Crawford's throwing at, you know, a 24.6 K percentage. So he's racking up the Ks. I like his momentum. I like what he's been doing. So I'm on Crawford over 5.5 Ks at plus 100.
Love it. Yeah, I was that was the lean that I was like, all right, well, I saw you ended up having it. Was like, great, because that makes me feel really good about it. I think it's a good look as well. And yeah, the stuff versus the even versus the lefties of Cincinnati doesn't seem like it's much of an advantage to the batter in these situations for this squad. So I think he's still likely to be able to use some of that savvy, if you will, and take advantage of playing at Great American a little bit more. So I'm with you with that. Now I got to talk about Cody's Blue Jays for a minute, because I did have a little bit of a feel here for a -122. I believe that's still available for the Guardians to handle the Toronto Blue Jays. Cody, come on, man. I mean, let's have a moment of sobriety here where we're just like, I don't know about these Blue Jays. And I mean, like, do you wish Bo Bichette was still around? Are we good with him being out at this point as one of the worst shortstops hitting in the league right now? A couple of errors. I don't even mean to trash your team at all. I have nothing against the Blue Jays. I've often rooted for them in the past. But yeah, not right now. So I'm taking the Guardians, who nobody wanted to believe me when I was talking about the Guardians once again this year. I was like, they've been doing it. It's not like I'm like predicting something that hasn't happened for this Guardians team to win this division. Like, I guess if you thought the Royals were going to be this good, then it wasn't a great look. But like, they've gotten a lot hotter. So this is the last 10 games, and you can see they recently played against Toronto as well. And let me get this to the most recent ones. So yeah, the before the series versus the Mariners, they lost the opening one there, and then really handled business in the next couple of games. And they did lose the last 2 of the series versus Toronto. But I think that right now with the pitching matchup that we have here, like, look, I don't really trust Carrasco at this point. I think it's pretty fair to say that
he's ass.
He
had that one good year with the Mets where he could get you like 8 Ks, but also would come out there and throw 1 and get dusted in the 4th inning.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, my bad. Yeah, so some people are in your chat too, so I don't think they can see what I'm responding with, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm talking about that right now. This is my favorite play, though, is the Guardians to handle business here. So what I'm looking at really for them is, first of all, I mean, this is an absurd differential. The Guardians have a +94 run differential compared to the Blue Jays -40. All right, so there's really no weirdness going on with the record for Toronto. It is what it is because of what. In fact, it could be worse. I mean, 35 and 39, 4 games under 500 with a -40 run differential. It's actually impressive that they've won that closer games. The Guardians, however, what I'm banking on is the fact that first of all, let me get into second of all, Yerrrrr Rodriguez. Everybody who's in here, raise your hand if you've heard of Yerrrrr Rodriguez. I dare you to tell me that you've heard of him. He has now a few starts in the majors, all of them very, very poor. I can just give you his raw numbers right here, and I'm trying to pull up the game real quick. But if you look at his raw numbers for Yerrrrr Rodriguez, so this year he's shown up a couple times, had 1 start, 4.11 ERA. 15 innings pitched, 19 hits in those 15.1 innings. So just keep that in mind. 7 runs in those.
They're using him as an opener, kind of.
Yeah, there's been a couple, exactly, and that's why I think you're going to see that. That just brings me to the point which I should have just made from the jump, which is this is going to turn into a bullpen game very early. And guess who has the best bullpen in the majors? The Cleveland Guardians. So once you know that you're in line,
insane bullpen,
insane, dude, insane. If I pull up, I'm just gonna pull up relief pitching real quick so you can see all the things that they are incredible at on Fangraphs here, nice and easy. So I'm in pitching team stats, and I'm changing this to relief pitchers. And if you want to look at ERA, tops in the league, 2.36. Actually, notably top in the league, like what's about 0.8 ERA better than the Dodgers in second. Their FIP even more impressive, 2.76. So FIP and ERA, obviously FIP is a little bit more of just a pitcher dependent stat because it doesn't take into account bad fielding or errors or anything like that. It's just like if you didn't even have any fielders, how many outs would you get essentially for this fielder independent pitching stuff? The xFIP also really good, so there's no discrepancy between what they are doing and what their expected numbers are. 0.5 is a decent sized difference, but anything bigger than that, I'd be a little bit more concerned. And right at about 0.5 difference, I'm fine with. And then you look at the home runs per 9. I believe they're first in that. Left on base, they're leaving a ton of people on base, third, and that includes guys that they've inherited, obviously, as well. And then the Ks per 9, back up in third as well. So everything that you might care about. Also, I believe they're leading in innings. Oh no, they're down here and like still in the top. Where are we at here with? They're still, what was it, 277, 271? Yes. So 13. So still in the top 15 in terms of the amount of innings they pitched, meaning like it's a big enough sample size for sure at this point to go like this pen is absolutely nasty. I think both pens are going to be looking at a good amount of work today. But if you look at all the stuff that I just showed you, that was incredible for Cleveland. You got to go down a bit here to get to Toronto, 26. So they're basically going to be in the bottom 5 to 6, 7 in most key categories for pitching for the Toronto bullpen. So that's why I love the money line here. I don't even need to worry about like first 5 or anything like that because I don't trust Carrasco by any means. But Yerrrrr Rodriguez, I mean, I just, once again, I can't convey enough that like he's not in for a good time here. I think you could take over 4.5 at the first 5. I wouldn't hate that at all as well. That was originally at about plus 102. That got nuked. It's down to like minus 118. So it lost its luster to me. I kind of liked it at the beginning because I do think both these, like, I think there's a couple guys that are going to have a field day, including the Josh Naylor today. Should be good for maybe like a hit in RBI over 1.5 if you wanted to play something like that for a hitter stat. Hitter's prop, I would take Naylor in this situation, but that's really mostly what I'm concerned with at this point. The Guardians at home 23-9 as well, so I really like the way that they're protecting things. And based on, I mean, this is, what are we at, 29 runs, 6, 14, 9, 24 runs in their last 4 games as well. Like, this team is smacking the cover off the ball, deservedly so too. Like, a lot of really good hits. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the minus 122. I think it's minus 125 is the best number you're going to find now. But I'm still totally fine with the minus 125 if that's what you wanted. Did you look at anything in that game at all?
In the Cleveland-Toronto game?
Yeah. If you didn't, it's fine. I mean, come on, dog. It's like there's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna push for it. Yeah, I mean, that game's a pass for me right now. I mean, am I gonna mind watching Cookie get blown up? Probably not. But I don't know. I want to talk about the Sox Detroit NRFI that somebody from Discord was asking about.
Let's do it.
Because I do. There's 3 NRFIs I like today, and Sox versus Detroit is one of them. Seattle versus Miami is another, and KC versus Texas is another. So, let's go back here.
Oh yeah, let me get you up here.
Word. Yeah, no worries. We'll talk NRFI a little bit. Get this to 2024. So Fetty is 6-3 away and 12-3 overall this year on no runs first inning. Flaherty has only had 5 starts at home. He's 4-1 at home and 9-4 on the entire season. These don't come out to look like great numbers, 55.2% implied probability. And then we go to the offenses. The Sox are just ass, dude. They're just so goddamn bad. 31-7, no runs in first inning, 82%. 63-13 on the season, 83%. Detroit has cooled off on their bats a little bit. 26-9 at home to the no runs first inning, 7-3 over their last 10, 52-22, which is a little bit better here. It's 70%, giving us an implied probability of 58-ish%. Look, I pull up these lineups, and well, yes, Pham is a little bit of not so much a K target. Again, Flaherty's a Cy Young candidate. Like, this dude's pitching out of his mind. And in the first inning, he's very, very good. He works quickly. You know, I'm on his over outs. I'm hoping that he gets through the first inning in 7 pitches with ground ball, you know, to Nicky Lopez, especially. This guy can't put the bat on the ball for nothing. Batting .233 with under 300 slugging. He's not striking out, but he's just putting soft contact into the infield. So even if Pham gets a hit or something like that, bang, double play. The big concern is the fact that Luis Robert can go yabo on anybody, but I just don't think he's going to do it against Flaherty with his 38.2 strikeout percentage, because I think Flaherty is going to absolutely dust him and sit him down for, and I'm seeing at least 1K here for Flaherty. And then even if somebody does get on, like Gavin Sheets, yes, he does have some power. Again, I just think that Flaherty's a far better pitcher than any of these guys in the first 4 of the Chicago White Sox lineup. And then don't get me started on going Vaughn and below. Not that I think he'll need it for no runs first inning. You can't get past 6 guys without giving up a run. So I kind of like that. And then I did say, like, I like Fetty. I think that he's throwing well. I even liked his K's a little bit today, but it's a little juicy for me. But Riley Green, Kahana, you know, Colt Keith and Vierling, they're not like huge K guys, but they're also not like slugging guys. Like these aren't guys that I think are going to take Fetty Yabo. So I kind of like the no runs first inning here for the White Sox. And I'm actually I haven't shopped it yet, but I might have just talked myself into that part. I
think we got to keep the streak of NRFI, you know, show NRFIs going. Like 1-0 right now. I think that's going to continue to be
not at -155. Eat a bag of dicks. How about let's take a look at Seattle, Miami. Let me make sure that the price is something we could play before I go.
Just so you know, we've got about 10-15 minutes too. So I just want to make sure you prioritize what you want to look at. Too.
Yes. Cool. So that's why I wanted to talk NRFIs
Cool.
because it is one of the fastest markets to research.
No doubt.
137 on Bet Rivers. They'll let me get almost a unit down on NRFIs. We'll check KC, Texas first. And then if we don't get a number we like in KC, Texas, we'll circle back to that Seattle, Miami line. I know that's a crappy book, but they will, like, again, I'm limited to like $10 on shots. I couldn't get more than, I got 10.06 down on Tuchemani shot on target today at +265. Like, they hate my money there. But they will take just shy of like $50 from me on NRFIs, which does make it playable. -115, -120 here. Yeah, I can get behind this. Let's talk KC, Texas.
Okay.
For a NRFI.
Yeah, it's a better price.
It's a better price. We have the lineups. Lineups probably came out for this probably about an hour ago, so it hasn't moved a ton. So we'll go to props.cash. I know for a fact, I just know this off the top of my head. Kansas City is much worse in the first inning on the road. And you can see here the numbers reflect it. They're 29-8 in the first inning on the road, 78% to the no on no runs first inning. They're also 10-0, not scoring a run in the first inning in their last 10 games, but 54-22 overall. So you can see that they're getting a majority of their runs in the first inning when they're playing at home. Texas on the road is 27-9, so 75% there, 6-4 over their last 10, and 50-24 over overall, giving us an implied probability of 48.3%, which is, you know, below 50. And that's for their offensive categories. But the reason I like this is because I do kind of like both starting pitchers here. We'll talk about Singer because somebody in Discord was asking for looks on Singer K's. Yeah. His K stuff isn't particularly impressive, but what is impressive is his ability to not give up runs in the first inning. On the road, 5-1 this season with an 83% hit rate, 11-3 in all of his starts, 79% hit rate. In Evaldi, he can have good K stuff. He cannot have good K stuff. But the thing is, he's normally pretty dialed to start the game. 6-1 at home, 86% hit rate on the no runs first inning, 8-3 overall this season. They have it listed here at -115. It's -115, -120. That's what I saw this morning. And we'll take a little look at the lineup here. Again, Kansas City, not a big K rate. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. is a major concern here. Same with Vinny Pasquantino,
Pasquantino.
Yeah, Pasquantino.
Yeah.
Who is just a monster of a left-handed hitter. But again, this is in Texas.
Wait, real quick. I have to ask you about Pasquantino because I got fed up with him and dropped him in fantasy like a month ago and have refused to look at his stats. Has he been mashing in the last month?
I mean, look, his expected slugging is 485. I mean, I can pull it up.
No, it's okay. I didn't know. I just wanted these numbers will do. I mean, that's a pretty low K percentage. So
yeah, I mean, he's not striking out, that's for sure. But
he's hitting the ball decently hard.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Kansas City's a really tough ballpark to leave the yard too. Like, I know it's getting hotter and the ball's traveling farther, and it definitely gets more hitter friendly this time of year. But Kansas City has really deep outfields and alleys. Like, it's super hard to leave the yard at their park.
Yep.
And he's got dumb power. Like, that's his whole thing. So long fly balls that go out in other parks or drop for doubles are sometimes routine fly balls, especially in Kansas City, because it's a tough park.
Yep. I dig it.
But anyway, the Rangers are super bipolar. Simeon is a hell of a hitter. Seager's a really good hitter too. But after those guys, Josh Smith, Adios Garcia, Nathan Lowell, like those are guys I don't super rate. I do like taking the chance here on NRFI at -115. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make that a play. I'm going to end up playing that.
Dope. I'm going to add that to the card. Got the NRFI in Tejas. Right. I like it. On Tejas, -115 too. It's a great look.
Yeah, I trust Evaldi to get me through that first inning, and I also trust Singer to get me through that first inning. So if you guys want to look at, I know we were gonna
bring up Singer because I think that's a natural segue.
Cool. Yeah. So we were talking about Singer, and the first thing that I was talking about, actually, let me pull up your Discord real quick here on my other screen so I know exactly who I'm talking to. ERN Funk was asking about Singer K's. He was kind of thinking his over, which again looks kind of good here when you first look at the chart. But the thing with Singer is he's been not so hot on the road, 3-3, which doesn't look bad because, again, I'm taking Crawford, who's 3-3 on the road. But if you extend this out to the last 15, going back to last season, you start finding that road is his trouble spot. He's only over in 5 of 15. When we take this filter off and go home, he's over in 7 of 15. So he's definitely having the advantage of pitching in Kansas City, where it's a lot harder to leave the yard. And Texas is just, they're so up and down bipolar on whether or not they're striking out or they're hitting the cover off the ball. Again, over the season in 2024, they're one of the most K-adverse teams, but you get into the last 15, 20 days of them, and they're striking out a lot more here. So for that reason alone, just because there's been so unpredictable over the last 15, 20 days, I want to stay away from this, or I would lean towards the under here. And I actually don't think he's pitched. Okay, so he has pitched against Texas twice, going under once and over once. He went over earlier this season in Texas on 5-3, and then last year, early in the year, though. So, like, I don't know. I don't love this. For me, it's a no play. I don't want to get involved in the under at that minus 125 number. And I'm not ready to reach on his over just because of their poor batting recently. Plus 102, it might be worth it. I don't know. At a minus number, I don't want to reach on an over and throw the dice and hope guys just continue to strike out, because eventually it has to regress to what they've done more season long than what they've done the last 15, 20 days.
For sure. Yeah. And once you get 3-4 straight plays like that, then you're like, well, it's a good time to stop, I think.
Yeah.
Stop trying to ride.
Right. It's like blackjack. If the dealer busts you out or sucks out a lucky card 3 times in a row, you're like, okay, I'm going to double my bet.
Yeah.
But you don't just stay betting at that number when you see a bunch of face cards come up. Like, eventually you got to cut your bet and realize that the deck's no longer in your favor.
I can't fucking wait to go to Vegas for Summer League. You got me fiending now, dude.
Oh, dude, trust me. In Michigan, I can play casino games on the apps. Yeah. So I come home from the bar, hammered drunk, and I stream it with like Tone and his buds. And I'll just,
do you do the live dealer?
Sometimes not. Like, I was trying. When I won that Real Madrid future, I was completely obliterated drunk, and we were throwing craps for like 2 hours. And I think I was playing $25 on the pass, no pass line. I ended up winning like $400. I woke up, I'm like, why is there so much money in my DraftKings account?
It's amazing. That is not the norm. Please don't subscribe to the belief that that's going to work out for you guys.
When Madrid wins the UCL, I went there. I'm like, I'm trying to spend all this Madrid money.
I remember that day.
Madrid's so good that they carried me through winning everything that day. Yeah, I also went on a 11-1 heater the following day, hung over his balls, and then for the rest of the week, I woke up, ate good, went and worked out, and I got smoked across the board for like 4 days straight. So I told Discord, I'm like, yo, this clean eating and healthy living ain't for me. We're drinking again. Yeah. I gotta get back in the win.
The only way to get in the winner's circle, dude. All right, we've got a few more minutes. So I just want to look at one more. And we had Cody bring up Ryan Pepio. We've also got Trevor Rogers and Chris Paddock. So what would be your preferred look there?
Sorry, what was that? Let me see.
Rogers.
Chris
so
Paddock,
either of the two that are up.
Rogers.
Yeah. But then we had one brought up just a minute ago from Cody as well, talking about Pepio. Didn't know if you want to talk about him.
Let's talk about Trevor Rogers, because I was interested in that no-run first inning.
Okay.
So that kind of touches on something I was looking at, because I know Kirby's worse on the road. Yeah. I know for a fact he is. Let's look at his road stuff. I did kind of want to talk myself into Kirby here, because Miami has been so ass lately.
Yeah, Jazz is back too, just so you know.
Okay.
I don't know if you had him out, but he's in today.
So here at home, we'll take a look at Rogers. He started the season really well, but faced a Pittsburgh team who strikes out like it's their job, a San Francisco team who was pretty hapless at the beginning of the season, but has kind of found it a little bit. Struck out Cleveland 5 times, which is impressive, because Cleveland's really K-adverse.
Yeah.
Didn't get it versus Texas, but as I said, they've been trending the wrong way the last 15 days, 20 days, but back at the beginning of the month, they were still pretty K-adverse. Milwaukee, who I can't get a feel on at all.
Yeah.
Philly, who's very K-adverse versus right-handed pitching. Washington, who's very K-adverse versus right-handed pitching. And it's Seattle, guys. Like, you don't have to sell me on any pitcher going against Seattle. Seattle's that bad there's 9 strikeout targets in their lineup. You can't convince me otherwise. No matter what their numbers are, everybody in that lineup strikes out.
Yeah.
My thing here is he's pretty inconsistent. Like, it looks like his floor is 3. Let me see that Oakland game as the outlier. Did he get yanked super early in that game? Yeah, 78 pitches. let's see the price here. Miami. Rogers, 122, 120. I don't hate getting involved at minus 125 or better, but I'm not going to go to minus 135. Offshore's have it at minus 127. It's okay if you really, really want to get there. I don't know. I have a feeling that this game stays under. I think that this is an unders game. Both of these bats aren't great. Seattle might probably finds a way to win this game, but I don't know. I don't like this game. This game kind of screams under to me, especially with Kirby on the mound. I think Miami's going to struggle here. So he's going to need to kind of have a good game because I don't think their bats are really going to pick him up. I can get behind this at minus 120 or minus 122. I don't love it much past minus 125.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no value to the under at that point either, to be honest. It's pretty close to 50-50 anyway.
Yeah, and 4.5 is a line that I'm not like, I don't want to take an under on 4.5 against fucking Seattle, dude.
Yeah, if you think he's going to go 6
telling me that there's not 5 guys in this Seattle lineup that might strike out? I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys.
I mean, you got to project. Like, I would definitely put him at 17.5 outs, and if you think he's going 6, like, you know what I mean, then yeah, that's a lot of batters to afford a strikeout to. So, I don't see any value to the under at 100. We were talking about this earlier. It was like minus 108 for an under K, minus 120 for an over, and it was like there's just going to be no value there either way. The books just like made sure they're making money at that point, and that's why when I'm out.
It depends. It really does depend. So like there are teams, again, now people start to know this and figure it out. And again, bigger sample size, stuff like that. But you're going to find guys who they're like, oh, well, you know, his numbers say this or whatever against left-handers or right-handers. But then you watch them play and swing the bat, and it's like, dude, he's swinging at ghosts out there. He has no idea where that pitch. He's seeing it too late. Yeah. So again, like my thing is here, I'm certainly not getting involved on an under against Seattle Mariners lineup for any but pitchers K's lined at 4.5. It's got to be somebody like Paul Skeens or somebody that's absolutely elite whose line is set at over under 7.5 or 8.5 for me to think about fading the Seattle Mariners on under K's. Because again, JP Crawford is like the only guy in this lineup with a sub 25% strikeout rate. Sure, Ty France is too at 23.7%.
Yep. Yeah, not good enough. For sure. I actually just tailed your NRFI bet too. I like the look there in the Tejas game. So yeah, I think we're good on that. I know I got to roll too. I know you've got more footy action. So make sure you do check out because Oaks is gonna be coming back on here with footy stuff. I wish I could join you, bro. I can't today either. I'm gonna get some WNBA stuff, but I'll be back on there for next week as we keep rolling with the Euros and have probably be the third game of group stage for Euros that I'd be down to come in for, and then definitely get in some Copa, and we should definitely get that US game, probably game 2 at this point since they're playing tomorrow,
Bolivia,
right? So,
on Sunday.
Are they playing Sunday?
They are playing Sunday. They play Bolivia in the late game. Let me look.
So like a.
Oh no, it's the early game. So 5:15 lineup, 6 o'clock start.
Okay.
Uruguay, Panama. Yeah, that's a good day. So I just put out my schedule for the rest of the week because tomorrow. Listen, I like streaming, but I'm not in this to be a social media platform guy, and I'm doing 5 streams today. I'm going to end up working for almost 20 hours straight. So I'm not getting my ass out of bed at 8:15 to bring you a stream for Georgia, Czech Republic. I'm just not doing it. You can watch me do Turkey versus Portugal. But again, I'm working 20 hours today. It's 90 degrees outside. I would really like to go outside and be in the sun and get in the pool. Yeah, so on Saturday, I'm taking a break. I'm not going to cover Belgium, Romania, but I will be back for Ecuador versus Venezuela because I think that one's going to be a banger. And Mexico versus Jamaica late in Copa America. So, 7:15 is when the Copa America stream for tonight starts.
Yeah.
And then a quick recap before we get out of here, and I'll let you close the show out.
Sure.
I'm on Jack Flaherty over 17.5 outs. I got it at -125 and gave it out in Discord. In my Discord, it's, let's see here. This had to be at like 10 a.m. Yeah, 10:48 a.m. That line is smoked. It's completely unplayable now, so sorry about it. And then again at 10:50, I gave out Crawford, which is still playable and is still a playable line that we went through. And I am officially taking Kansas City versus Texas on the NRFI at -115 on Bet Rivers / -120 on FanDuel.
I got mine.
You are also incredibly limited. They're like me. So
Same.
I'm moving this up to official plays so that when I go back and look at my notes to recap next week, it's there.
Yes, sir.
We covered Singer. We covered Montgomery. We covered Rodgers. Again, I think you can go over on Rodgers. I'm just not going to play it below -125. You start getting into the -130, -135 neighborhood, and I'm not going to play that.
Yep. For sure. I'm with you on that. I'm going to put the I'm going to pin the a comment with the bets that we have here too. I'm adding them now because I just added a bet to the card in Discord. We're going to look to come back to you guys next week. We'll see. Obviously, soccer's still going to be pretty busy, but we should be able to get a couple more streams for baseball. Help some people out. Really helps us when you guys bring some looks. If you have questions as well, definitely jump in those comments because we're always going to interrupt ourselves to answer what you guys have. The whole point of this is for everybody to keep learning. And I'm not going to lie, we are fielding looks essentially. Like, I hope this doesn't come across as incorrect to you guys, but like when you bring looks that we didn't have in mind already, the bets are out there. We just, the biggest part of the search is like finding where to even start. So you don't feel like you're wasting your time. And
right.
You guys
exactly. Like this is set up so that if you have an idea of what you want to get to and why, bring it to us and we'll show you how to go do this research for yourself.
100%. And just what matters. There's so many things to keep in mind with this stuff. Like Oaks is obviously fire at like researching the bullpen stuff, which is like so much more impactful than you might even think in terms in so many ways than you might even realize, like how long the pitcher is going to go for sure. But then also just like sometimes bats, you can, if for instance, Jazz Chisholm was a great example where he was somewhat hurt, but he could still get out there and play. So they left him on the bench as a potential, rather than have him DH, they left him on the bench as a potential pitch hitter for the moment where 6th inning, and the opposing manager is now really forced to think critically about who he's bringing out from the pen, because Jazz Chisholm is a guy that can come off the bench now as one of the best hitters already, speedsters and contact guys. So that's going to be it for today though, y'all. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, if you miss any of these bets, going to throw them into the pinned comments. Oaks has his Discord link is in the description of this video. Same with my Discord as well. Both of our plays are going to be up in the respective chords, if you will. So best of luck to everybody tonight. We'll be back next week. And until we do see you then, happy betting.
Doses.
Yerrrrr.